Must check my work email every single day? Okay. So, I was working for a small private ambulance company that ended up getting bought out by a larger corporation. To folks that have done this kind of work, no, it wasn't the company you're thinking of, but this new corporation wanted to be just like them, so corporate sends out a directive that all employees must check their work email at least once every 24 hours. No exceptions. Now I'm a lowly part-timer, so it would occasionally be weeks in between my shifts. The fun part is, I usually played field supervisor on my shifts I did work, so, in order to be in compliance with the corporate directive, I set my work email to update every day at the same time on my phone. I would then log my 15 minutes of email checking on my paycheck so I would also be in compliance with state and federal payroll laws. I also made sure to inform as many employees to do the same. Didn't check your email while you were on shift because you were too busy trying to figure out what made Grandma's ambulance ride to the doctor medically necessary? That's okay. Just check it when you get home. Make sure you put it on your timesheet, though. It took a couple pay cycles, but eventually I get a call, on my day off, asking why I'm logging 1.75 hours on weeks that I didn't even work. I explained that I was just following their corporate directive. I was told at that point that I no longer was able to log those hours. I told them to give me that in writing as that goes against labor laws. Needless to say, the directive to check email every day got revoked. Oh, but I did put down 30 minutes on my timesheet for the call as it took 22 minutes. Edit to say, thank you everyone that's upvoted and given awards. You guys are the true heroes.
Now to the comments. Beautiful malicious compliance, especially the request of the directive in writing for the labor board. They love written rules that violate laws.
OP replied. Corporate HR loved dealing with me.
20 years in private EMS and I can confirm that HR is the biggest headache I ever had while in management. This is my favorite kind of MC. No, I don't work for free. Ever. Not for one single second. My workplace wanted us to submit a form daily through an app before we walked into the door of the building. I told them I don't work before I punch in and I don't use my personal phone for work, so if they want me to use an app they'll have to provide me a phone and pay me for my time to submit the form. Suddenly I don't have to do any of that stuff.
You are not permitted to use your personal phone while you are in the building. Also, you're required to use your personal phone to dual factor every time you log into your systems, which time out every 5 minutes.
Holy shit, do you work with me? This was a sweet read with a lovely finish.
Short enough to be attractive, but long enough to cover the subject.
Why does that sound like it's talking about penises? Well done. Isn't it amazing that important corporate directives that inconvenience the workers are no longer important when it costs the corporation money? Would have only been better if y'all had a minimum number of hours to charge, one common perk of unions.
Absolutely. I'm not in a union, but my employer does have a minimum, God bless them, of 2 hours.
In my province, please someone correct me if I'm wrong as applies to this scenario, labor laws state that the minimum shift time is 3 hours from the time you clock in, so show up to work and then they realize they don't need you and send you home after 15 minutes? Still have to pay you for 3 hours. I think it would apply to this situation too, but I'm not super sure. Oh, but I did put down 30 minutes on my timesheet for the call as it took 22 minutes. Perfect. I can almost see your boss sighing and saying to HR, just duck and pay it. Some states require a minimum of hours reported for any work. Massachusetts, for example, will require employers to pay minimum 4 hours for any shift, or work-related activity. If you have to come in on your day off for a 30-minute meeting, you'll get paid 4 hours. Edit, apparently, it's 3 hours now.
Would have loved this to be the law in PA when I worked at Burger King as a teenager. They were the worst about having me drive in and sending me home early because they were slow.
Yep. If you, the business, require it, you have to pay for it. Well done. You hooked me when you said small private ambulance company. Bullshit like this is why I'm going to nursing school to get out of private EMS, cause at least I'll get paid a little more to deal with bullshit. People on salary love to try to get hourly employees to do simple work like that off the clock. No thank you. Anything you tell me to do is work, and I will be punched in to do anything for you. Oh, but I did put down 30 minutes on my time sheet for the call as it took 22 minutes. Similar sitch but wholesome. Around the time I arrived at a new job, network admin, phones had always been shitty/buggy. Big boss got fed up with this shit and contracted out phones to a major service provider. Never wanted to deal with dropped calls or crappy voice quality, so he just told them, duck whatever it costs, I want everything. All the features. All the fail-safe, backups, enhancements, everything, so phones aren't its responsibility anymore, but they connect to all our systems. The tech from the third party is around almost every day for weeks. We start chilling. After he's done, whenever we have a problem we don't have to wait in the service queue, he just comes, cause we're chill with each other now. Then he starts showing up. Randomly. We're just having fun, playing games in downtime, chatting, having lunch. Like at least twice a week he's there for a few hours. After a month or two of this, summoned to big boss office. So. See, you're spending a lot of time with the phone guy. Shit. Even when there's no issue to be solved. Just, lounging around. You even have lunch together, ducks, so the next time he comes around with nothing to actually do and you decide to get lunch. Duck, we are boned. Don't clock out. Bill me that hour. The more time you spend with him, the less I spend worrying about the phones. Sweet.
That didn't go how I was expecting it to go. Did you fist bump your boss after?
A priority support ticket for a system that size is in the thousands of dollars, just to get the guy to show up and look, not even to fix anything. He was a good boss. As a teenager working with recent college grads, we all felt like we were getting this amazing, special treatment. He played us. What, some overtime, clocked a few those techs each week in exchange for Jump the Queue premium service. We felt cool, but in reality, he was giving himself a great deal. If you lived in California, the 6th consecutive day would have started at 1.5x time, and the 7th, and I believe any subsequent, consecutive days would have started at 2x time. This is how I got paid $5,800 to fly home from DCA to SFO, which would probably be a great MC story to write someday. Come to think of it. Edit, I misremembered, I moved out of CA in 2017, and this MC took place in 2012. It's 1.5 times for the first 8 hours on the 7th day, and 2 times time thereafter. I'll make sure to be clear when I write this MC.
I'd like to hear this story.
With the lockdown in the UK, I'm on furlough. I'm a key holder and my number is first on the contact list the airport has if there is anything wrong with the site. Each call out means I'm take off furlough for the day and paid a full day's pay. The legal minimum for being take off furlough temporarily is 1 day. The company also pays me £50 per call out for being on call. Last week I got a call, discovered it wasn't to do with us but next door's unit. Total time on phone was 2 or 3 minutes. Yup, I submitted it. It's just been approved and I just got a full day's pay, £50, for it. I wasn't being sneaky, you have to say exactly what the callout was, how long it was and what you did on the submission. Good for you. If you are not salaried, you should not work without clocking your time and getting paid for it.
Even if you are salaried, you should not work outside your contracted hours without being paid for it.
Almost every salary contract in Australia says you will be required to work a minimum of 38 hours per week in addition to reasonable overtime. The definition of reasonable is debatable and probably varies based on your profession/job title, but most salary workers here aren't getting any overtime pay. We do have comparatively high salaries and very good benefits compared to the US though, so can't complain. Things like an extra 9.5% of your salary paid into a retirement fund, superannuation, 20 days paid annual leave, 10 days paid sick leave, paid public holidays, etc. are all legally mandatory, so it all balances out. I worked for a fire district as IT support through a MSP. The department had to have the policy that firefighters who were hourly instead of salary could not have their email on their phone for this exact reason. They had to check their email on the station computer so the department didn't have to pay them for receiving emails on their days off.